First of all, I just want to say that I got my prediction right to a T. Spain beat Argentina 1-0. If you don't believe me, go and check out that previous video that I did discussing the final between Spain and Argentina. I would have gone a step further and actually predicted that the game would have gone to extra time, but I felt that it could have been resolved within the 90 minutes. But yeah, yeah, crazy stuff, right? Sorry it's taken me a while to make a video about this. The truth is that I still haven't come to terms with the World Cup ending. It's like, what am I supposed to do now without constant 24/7 football coverage everywhere I look, everywhere I turn, everything on my YouTube feed, on my Instagram feed, it doesn't matter. It's football all the time. Welcome back, y'all. This is Ed, your friend to the end. And this is the Suburban Saturn, where we basically wrap up our World Cup series. And I'm not sure if I'll ever do this series again in my life. Hopefully I do. Hopefully I still care to do YouTube 4 years from now in the next World Cup cycle, and I'll definitely be covering it if I am doing YouTube. In any case, what a wild ride this World Cup has been. Everything from the amount of teams that played, the amount of different variety of matches that we got to see as a result, interesting pairings. I think really this World Cup has subverted a lot of what many football enthusiasts would have thought they knew about the sport. You know, many teams came in here with many commentators had teams that they had touted to be dark horses or, potential dangers and threats and that can make deep runs. For the most part, yeah, this World Cup subverted a lot of expectations. Like, I, for one, didn't see England making it as far as they did, but this English team has really won my heart over because of the amount of grit that they put in there. I thought that their third game match against France was probably the best World Cup match I've seen ever, period. It's a real shame that you can't see these kinds of matches during the competition proper, but I understand, in order to make a deep run the way that these teams like France and England, Spain, Argentina, it's tough. It's a mental game. You have to make sure that your team can withstand a variety of styles and plays, that you can adjust accordingly. And everyone's afraid of making a mistake, even a simple one. So this is partially why a lot of the games could come off as boring, and really only like the last 20-30 minutes do we see an opening of an attack, or do we see teams try to fight it out in the last minutes to try to seal the game. It really is a mental game more than anything, a strategic one, which makes it kind of boring during the competition proper. But in moments like these, like the finals, or when you're playing for a position that basically doesn't matter anymore. I mean, yes, there's stakes, pride and money. These things matter, but really England and France weren't playing for much outside of, that extra cash that they might get and maybe a little bit of the clout. Everyone goes in there wanting to win the competition, so we must understand that. Had England gone to the final against Spain, we might have seen a game that is not as open as the one we saw against France. The reason being is that England would likely be afraid to concede a goal on a counter against a team like Spain, who can counter very quickly. And even though Spain struggles against low blocks, if you go out to look for the game against Spain, they will punish you. England knows this. France didn't believe it until it happened. And so this is the quality Spain had, right? Maybe they suck at being able to unblock teams who are dedicated to just parking the bus and defending at any and all costs. But if you go out looking for the game against Spain, you will leave gaps, and they will definitely exploit those gaps, and they will definitely score. That's the quality Spain has. So England would have responded differently against Spain. It's different, again, when you're playing a third place match that no longer really means much outside of some clout and some cash money for the team, which goes a long way. That's great. But this is why we were able to see such a spectacle, because these two teams were basically frustrated from the competition. They let some new blood in and they let it all out, right? They dished it out. There was nothing else really left to play for. It's not like any of these two teams was going to go on to play the final and win the World Cup anymore. So I thought that the conditions, the environment led to basically the best game we have seen in World Cup history. And oh boy, that 6-4, the power of the fish and chip, England dipping their fish and chip all over that French onion dip, and six times. French were great, but I think that they just weren't prepared for such an aggressive English side, that it took them a while to respond to the shock of England going out and looking for that game. It was amazing. And obviously Saka like really stood out, man. That guy was a beast in this game. Sorry, yeah, there was just so much aggression and so much hunger from that English team that they basically cooked France within the first half. But France showing their quality and showing that they too can exploit if you go out to look for the game a little too much. France could have even tied or even won the game. I mean, yeah, it was a crazy one. This is a back and forth, really a tale of two halves, where England eked it out in the end. But France, had they been a little bit more finer, had Olise put away some of the very clear opportunities he had, which was very strange coming from Olise. Olise is very good, very clinical, but in front of goal is like the guy can't see the target right in the middle. It's impossible for him to shoot just straight to the middle. And so, anyways, that's a story for a different day. He really could have really at some point tied the game for France and maybe even put them in front had that happened. But in any case, you can't take anything away from England. They showed that they evolved a lot throughout the tournament. They really grew into the tournament, and if they keep this exact fire that they have, they could be contenders in the next 4 years. It was brilliant to see their style of play and to see it evolve and to see how much this team really wants it as well. They have a mentality of an English teams that we haven't seen in the past. You know, it's almost very American. They believe it, they fight for it, they believe they can be number one, and this is what makes them very dangerous moving forward. Now, that being said, it is a third place game, so take that for what it is. But they put on a great performance and they put on a great tournament. So congrats to England. You all deserve to be third place for sure. And now maybe even second, given how the disastrous game against Argentina went. I mean, I expected this to happen. This is why I called the 1-all scoreline, with Spain winning the World Cup. Admittedly, if Argentina went all the way to penalties, I think Spain had a real possibility. I think at that point it would have been 50-50, but I would lean on fortune, on luck, favoring Argentina and not Spain. But thankfully that didn't manifest. The Spanish were clearly the better side. They had more possession of the ball. They basically played their game. And as I mentioned, the Spanish famously suck against low block teams. Thankfully for them, Argentina had very little to no teeth. They shot basically nothing. All of it was aggressive play, which I called. I knew they wouldn't have enough energy to go out and looking for the game. I knew they wouldn't be able to really outplay or outclass the Spanish team, so they would go out and try to kick and pull and, instigate a fight, try to get a red. Now, as fortune would have it, karma's a thing, and Argentina got a red with Enzo Fernández and his unnecessary tackle. I mean, at the end of the day, that was a stupid choice from him. As a professional, leaving your team one player down when you have the real possibility of taking it by just driving the game to penalties, to challenge a ball in the middle of the field unnecessarily against a team that already was outclassing you. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, self sabotage, call it whatever you will, but maybe Argentina understood they were going to lose this game. And maybe this beautiful excuse right here would be the reason why, they can go back to their public and be like, look, it was in our heat and our passion of the game that, we got a little too carried away and thought that it'd be a good idea to just kick a player, who had already basically dispatched the ball. Maybe. But Argentina was just outclassed. Ferran Torres. ¿Qué hostia, tío? Ese Ferran Torres es todo un crack. Es todo un tipo, ¿verdad? I mean, he did a fucking. Ferran Torres is just an amazing. He's a shark, man. The guy really. I'm a killer. He's just a shark. He knows when to look for the ball, and he's so technical, so clean. He very rarely misses opportunities like the ones he put away. The guy's super clinical. I love this player. He's been around the Spanish. He's been in the Spanish team a lot. He's been in Barcelona a lot. He comes in and he makes these cameos. Sometimes he's more lethal than other times, but he's a brilliant player. Mainly for the Spanish side. He came off the bench, but it's no coincidence. And I think this was the tactic maybe of the Spanish coach. I forget his name, but perhaps the tactic was to bring in a team that can control the game for the majority of the allotted time, and then bring in your killer strikers who just need about 20 to 30 minutes to potentially get you 1 to 2 goals. Enter your Ferran Torreses, right? And Spain had a few injuries too. Like, personally, I was looking forward to Fermín Lopez's World Cup, because this is a very promising player. He's perhaps one of my favorite players right now in the world. He's still young. He's very aggressive. He reminds me, and very technical too. He reminds me a lot of Christian Pulisic, but unlike Christian Pulisic, he might actually have a career that isn't plagued with injuries. Even though he's in one now, but the guy's been great for the Spanish team. He's been great for Barcelona. He's just aggressive, direct, and very technical, super lethal. I wish I would have seen him in this World Cup. But, had they had players like Fermín Lopez up on top, I think you would have seen a Spanish side that was more fluid in attack and way more dangerous, that probably scores a lot more. We're talking about 3 to 4 per game. Lamine Yamal, obviously, great tournament, but very ineffective in terms of making goals. But that's okay, because, he really, what he did was that he drew a lot of defenders towards him. He really opened up the space for some of his teammates to be able to do their thing. And maybe he didn't end up having those moments of magic that we know we love Lamine Yamal for, but he was still very effective in allowing and basically creating spaces for his teammates to be able to go in and find themselves in a decent position to put away a pass from Lamine. So he still did great. I mean, the whole Spanish side did great. Cucurella, Cucurella, se come una paella. Love that guy, man. He is my new favorite defender, with that big, crazy, bushy hair. I used to have crazy, bushy hair like that, so I totally feel it, man. He's like my spirit animal. He's aggressive. He's technical. He's fast. I mean, what more can you ask for? I think he's the next generation of like a Puyol or a Sergio Ramos, even, who was not quite as effective as a defender, but he was very aggressive. He knew how to deploy those dark arts that we know Argentina for, and he would put balls in the back of the net. I mean, he famously did that for Madrid. He would do that for the Spanish team, and he also won the World Cup with the Spanish team in 2010. So Cucurella has definitely picked up that mantle. I'm happy for him going to Madrid. If Madrid is going to become, Real Madrid is going to become the kind of team that it was the last decade, they're definitely going to need players like Cucurella. So anyways, or Cucurella. Cucurella. I don't know why I say Cucurella. It's my Pocho language, man. I mean, I'm born in the United States, born and raised, so we do what we can here to speak El Espanol. But at the end of the day, I still call Los Angeles Los Angeles or Los Angeles. So, anyways, yeah, good stuff. This World Cup was amazing. It was beautiful. I was so upset that the United States crashed out the way they did. I really wish that they did better. But hey, at least we made it to the World Cup, right? Like unlike we did back in 2018. And France, really for all the hype, it really is just that. It's kind of hype. Yes, they have amazing players, Ballon d'Or players, all these different kinds of players that like really, any team would die to have on their side, right? But at the end of the day, the Spanish has shown that their football is superior. They win in the women's, they win in the youth competitions, they win in the men's, the Euros, the World Cup. Right now, Spain is going through its golden era. I guess you could say it's reliving its golden era of football, because Spain also was the beneficiary of the tiki-taka Barcelona era, which really changed the whole face of Spanish football, and they've been dominating the game ever since. Argentina, what can we say? They're still really good, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, they were still a solid team. Did they deserve to be in that final? That's arguable. That's arguable. That's questionable. I mean, yes, but also, I think a lot of it came down to luck, if I'm being honest. And Argentina is a very lucky team. But I don't think it was skill necessarily. But it doesn't mean they're not good. They're really good, and they have a really strong mentality, and they're a very aggressive, strong team. But that's not enough to win at football. And at the end of the day, I think Spain winning does justice to football. It says that the sport is still alive, and it is here, and it is breathing. Argentina winning would have set such a bad taste in everyone's mouth, I think, about the sport. Mainly because of how they got there. They didn't get there playing pretty football. They were kind of antagonists in every single match. And they have Messi. They have the GOAT, the best player of all time. But I really don't know what happens to Argentina after Messi. I don't know if they ever end up making it to a semifinal again, at least in the next 4 or 5 cycles. And this is me being honest. Like, let's hope that I get this prediction wrong. But without Messi, I genuinely do not see Argentina getting very far anymore in the competition. They benefited from having the greatest player of all time, and that player was basically brought up in Spain. So for Messi, it must have been kind of nice to at least see that the team he lost out to was to a country that basically gave him his whole career. And if you're not going to win the World Cup and you're going to go to second place to someone, it's nicer to be a country that you might have a lot of love and affinity for. I mean, I don't know, but I'm assuming his kids were probably born in Spain. He spent his formative years in Spain. He married, probably met his wife in Spain. So to him, this was probably at least very nice. I mean, he even carried Lamine Yamal as a child, a Spanish kid, for the calendar. So yeah, I mean, he has a lot of love for that country, and I'm sure that for him, it was at least decent. I mean, he's won everything. He's literally won everything. So having won the World Cup twice in a row would have been really nice. But I think that he is humble enough to know that this was a beautiful moment for Spain, and that this is justice too in football. And I think, of course, at that moment, you're so close, you can taste it. Not having it hurts a lot. But he was class. He was class. He had enough class to recognize that Spain earned it. They deserved it. Unlike his teammates who showed they're just sore losers. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But Argentina, you did yourself no favors acting that way. And if you're out there, if you're Argentinian and you're defending that kind of behavior, I urge you to not condone that type of violent behavior, especially after losing, not at the highest stage, not during the ceremony where the rightful victors are taking their place. You show respect. That's what you do. Anyways, that's enough of that. I'm super sad that the World Cup has ended, but alas, it was a great time. every one of the teams that played, thank you. Thank you all for putting on such a spectacle, for giving the public a little bit of joy during these crazy, crazy times. And yes, there's a lot of that, oh, propaganda during bad times. That's what FIFA is for. But hey, the sport brings joy to the people. That's what it does. That's what it's meant to do. Music is also used for propaganda, but that doesn't mean you should never like songs, or that you should be, of course, be critical. Be critical of FIFA as an organization. Be critical of all these things that they've done to third world countries to basically stage certain things to create spectacles and distract while certain things are happening in the back end. But don't let that take away the magic that you feel when you're watching this spectacle with so many people who work really hard, make this their life, to put that on, put that show on for you, the public. So that being said, this is the Suburban Saturn. We're signing out of the World Cup series. Until next time.